All right, this is a little world history song, and we'd like to dedicate it to Magnus, Mr. Darden's fish. So here we go. Here's a little history for you all.
Big Bang! The earth forms and starts to support life. Plants and animals everywhere. Monkeys turn to humans overnight. Humans were nomadic hunters, then they learned how to farm. It was called the Neolithic Revolution. Civilization started out like a charm. Then some civilized folk came on round the Tigris and Euphrates River, Sumer and Babylon. The Fertile Crescent was sure to deliver. China came along the same time as the Pharaoh's land. Indus Valley lifestyle, Aryans and Dravidians. Shang, Zhao, Qin and Han dynasties, the Shangui after warring states. Built the Great Wall of China and some clay fellas to protect his grave. Please enjoy your history class. Mr. Gordon's there, it's gonna be a blast. History makes the world go round. Lotus Slide puts history to sound.
Ooh, history can get funky sometimes. Greece and Persia had their strife. Greek city-states that banded together, cut through old Persia like an Hinduism, common Dharma, Samsara, the formal truths of Buddhism and the Eightfold Path. Caste system kinda sucked. Classical India was a fast. The Peloponnesian War had split up Greece, and then came the great Alexander. Built the largest empire the world has ever known, and Greek culture was known ever after.
Romulus and Remus founded Rome and made it a republic. The Punic Wars won the Mediterranean. Emperor started Pax Romana, and the Romans, they did love it. 200 years of peace, the longest ever held in Europe. Across the Horn, China was thriving, and golden age flowing like hot syrup. Waffle! Then everything came crashing down. Crash! Overbearing pressure inside and out. Han and the Western Roman Empire were doomed without a doubt. Please enjoy your history class. Mr. Darden's there, it's gonna be a blast. History makes the world go round. Lotus Slide puts history to sound.
Then the Dark Ages came along. Rome called it quits. Justinian's black got a whole lot of people. Both those days were full of
Crap!
Christianity didn't shine too bright, but it was Europe's one true light. Barbarians and other barbarians fought all through this night. Meanwhile, in the Middle East,
1, 2, 3, 4. Then came along Brother Muhammad, preaching the word of Allah the Savior. Spread the word across the Middle East, and Islam became pretty major. Yeah, now Islam was based upon 5 tall pillars that all Muslims must live by, like feeding the poor and fasting for a month. This stuff you gotta try. The Muslim Empire ruled the Middle East for the next 200 years. The Umayyads through the Abbasids, the Muslims were forced to be feared. Then a little bit to the north around the great city of Byzantium, ruled by Justinian and Theodore, they tried to re-sing Rome's old anthem. Now the Byzantines were a
Bravo!
Took over most of the Mediterranean, built a church called the Hagia Sophia. Boy, you could not contain them. The Byzantine decline was slow and painful.
Ow!
It ended at a Manzikirk, but not before they spread Christianity to Russia, and dominance they did assert.
I got the feudal age. I'm a servant, ain't got no shoes. My lord is a dick who makes me pick crops, and it really ain't fair. But I need him when the Vikings attack, 'cause they'll put an axe in my back. I got the feudal age blues.
Let's get back up with Europe. On with the Catholics. We all joined up. It's been all God in war for 600 years, 'cause we got hell to fear. Oh, do we? Now Charles Martel stopped him at the battle, towards his grandson became Holy Roman Emperor. Now did it? Wow. Oh, William the Conqueror took England without a whimper. When these dark ages just kept rolling on. Then we got tired of killing each other, rolled down to the Middle East to blow up more thunder and take back their culture and start over new. We wrote the Magna Carta, and the 100 Years' War was started, and the Black Death took more than a few.
In Africa, the Bantu migration spread language to the rest of the land. Nubia, Maxum, and Ethiopia lived along the Sudan. Ghana started a gold and salt trade and traded with those of Rome. People of Mali built Timbuktu, and that's where Mansa Musa called home. Post-classical Africa. Post-classical Africa. Yet more empires, the great Songhais, we see ladies on the eastern bay. Knock Yoruba, Mwene Mutapa, and the great Zimbabwe. Yeah!
1, 2, 3, 4.
Please enjoy your history class. Mr. Darling's there, it's gonna be a blast. History makes the world go round, and Lotus Slide puts history to sound. Around the year 250, the Mayans came around. Built some kick-ass temples, but not much else has been found. The Mayans influenced the Toltecs, and the Aztecs came around. Built a city on lake Texcoco, where an eagle eating a flower was found.
Aztec religion had a whole bunch of gods that we cannot name. Brutal warriors and sacrifices gave them their fame. Around the same time as the Aztecs, the Inca people came arrive. 500 years later in Machu Picchu, their culture still survives. Based around the city of Cusco, riding llamas and eating weed. Lasting till the 1500s when Pizarro put them on their knees. After the Han Dynasty in China, there was a whole bunch of violence and strife. Bloodshed in kingdom, 6 dynasties all flown by overnight. After all the trouble came and the Sui dynasty united China, they stood. Though the dynasty it was short-lived, they did a lot of changing for good. Please enjoy your history class, Mr. Darden's there. It's gonna be a blast. History makes the world go round, and Lotus Slide puts history to sound. A little way north in Mongolia, Genghis Khan was born. He had dreams to be the greatest of all. The Mongolian Empire was formed. Mongol war machine captured China, Korea, Russia, and the Islamic world. Didn't live to see it all, but his grandson Kublai became the next warlord. The Pax Mongolia was formed. Across Asia peace was known. The Mongols couldn't last forever, and in battles like Kulakova they were dethroned. Please enjoy your history class, Mr. Jordan's there. It's gonna be a blast. History makes the world go round. Lotus Slide puts history to sound. With the new Grand Canal and equal field system, the Tang Dynasty came into town. They had a good run in charge and had a woman lead them around. But the Tang Dynasty was not all roses. Buddhism and Confucianism had their fights, foot binding their women when the Laos and Jins joined in, they were done overnight. Around the 700s and 800s, a new culture blossomed in Japan. No more like China or anyone else, the society became separate from mainland. Oh, Nara! Japan, High Japan were two ruling clans. But then some Fujiwara usurpers came into the court and feudal lords sprang across the land. Feudal Japan was barbarous, but the culture grew and it survived. Ruled by shogun and the samurai, the Japan was derived. Long ago in ancient Korea, the still Koryu of Pachake ruled. But China took them over like teachers. They were influenced, the Korean people got schooled. The Eds on the other end, rebellious fighting bunch. Like little drunk sisters, they beat them up like punch. Back to China for the big guns. After the Mongols swarmed the world, then they turned terribly. Well, in Europe the Renaissance took hold. Please enjoy your history class, Mr. Godwin's there. It's gonna be a blast. History makes the world go round, and a Lotus Slide puts history to sound. Henry started school to navigate and explore the world. Explorers like Columbus, Magellan, Diaz, and Da Gama let the edges of the maps unfurl. Spain and Portugal capitalized first, dividing the world as their own. They made a treaty, named it Tordesillas, and they the new world their whole. All the Europeans they called up, and the American lands they did win. Started practicing mercantilism, exporting more than they took in.
Started a pattern of European dominance, the last step for ages to come. As the Europeans conquered foreign lands, back home the Renaissance had begun. Renaissance brought Europe out of the darkness from which it had sunk. New artists and art forms gave Europe a brand new funk. New ideas spread like wildfire on the press of Gutenberg. The Protestant Reformation spread Luther's interpretation of God's word. The Protestants and the Catholics for the next 30 years had their strife. Ending with the Treaty of Westphalia that caught the modern world like a knife. Great rulers ruled the earth during the Renaissance and Enlightenment times. Elizabeth I and Suleiman the Magnificent did their countries very fine. Then came the great thinkers, it was Enlightenment time. Kepler led to Newton, who led to Einstein. The Enlightenment ideas spread around the earth and caused people's thoughts to change. Started thinking about themselves as opposed to just their monetary gain.
Back to Africa for a little bit.
Zinga Mavemba or King Alfonso, as he liked to be named, opened up the trading of people with Europe and started a terrible game. The opening of triangular trade routes soon did occur. Millions of slaves to the Americas against their will, the African diaspora for sure. The slave trade began to open up Africa, the European conquerors from above. Within the next 200 years, they weren't just taking slaves, but where they were from. Semi-modern Africa. Semi-modern Africa. And in the Middle East a new power rose. In Constantinople the Ottomans crushed their foes. They grew to be an empire of tremendous power. It was Suleiman and the Ottomans' Janissary's hour. But it did not last for long, but stayed so dandy and fine. After Suleiman's death, the Ottomans had a slow decline. Content to be contented, the empire stopped its growth. Lack of infrastructure and technology put a rock in their spokes. Russia got rid of the Mongols and began to catch up with the rest of the West. Ivan III and IV finished on the line that led to a time of unrest. Long came the Romanovs to rule for the next 400 years. Under Peter and Catherine, the border spread, and Western Greece and Russian wheels. But all was not fine and dandy from the view of the serfs and slaves. But back in making work and no political voice. The Russian system was bound to cave.
1, 2, 3, 4, freedom! America fought and broke away from Great Britain. Without France, we probably would have lost, but then again, nothing is certain. But our revolution, inspired by the French, and later they did rebel. Lieutenant Gordon started their insurrection, and later turned France to hell. After the reign of terror ended and Napoleon came into power, he conquered all his neighbors, and from him they soon did cower. Vienna! In 1815 there was a special meeting. It created 4 main powers in Europe, but they just kept on competing.
The Industrial Revolution, it caused everything to change. Beginning in the 1800s, it spread like fire on a grassy plain. To help out workers, it passed the Factory Act of 1833. Calling eagles to a writing that the proletariat would overthrow the bourgeoisie.
At the end of the century, 2 countries formed that upset the scale. They were Italy and Germany. Would their presence lead to violence, or would peace prevail? Meanwhile, in South Africa, the Afrikaners landed to set up shop. They treated the natives horribly and forced them to do their work and tend to their crops. They didn't count on the British arriving and taking over the port of Cape Town. The Afrikaners then retreated inland, fighting with the natives all around. The colonies began to change because of industry. Settlement colonies and tropical dependencies, both providing Europe with all of its needs. There was a successful slave uprising in Haiti long ago. As Europe was struggling at home, their grip on the colonies loosens, and it's sure to show. Countries started breaking away in South America. Then we built a big canal, Woo! A decline. The Ottoman Empire was falling apart all over. But they were the devil that we knew, so Europe propped them up on their shoulders. Their decline was due in part to corruption and bad leadership. Also, they had stopped conquering, but their economy depended on it. The eternal question was what to do when the Ottomans, they did shatter. And Egypt then broke away from them, but freedom wasn't all that mattered. Money! Egyptians needed it to build the Suez Canal. They borrowed the funds to build it from England, and their debts were causing them to drown. The English had to seize control of it, and the rest of Egypt would soon be next. They crept their way into the government, making their future seem even more vexed. Oh, meanwhile, in the country of China, they started to sell opium. The wars that followed then weakened our Qing, and British got control of Hong Kong. Please enjoy your history class. Mr. Darden's there, it's gonna be a blast. History makes the world go round, and a Lotus Slide puts history to sound. Culture, the Russians took it from Europe, it was only superficial. But their serfs weren't happy at all, and uprisings were no longer feeble. The Crimean War was considered the first modern one. Russia wanted a warm water port, so they invaded, the war had begun. Tsar Alexander II tried to give rights to the peasants. He gave the serfs their freedom, but overall matter was still far from pleasant. Before long, Russia industrialized and the intelligentsia was formed. But the island and the Bolsheviks attacked the government in swarms. The Russian Revolution began under Tsar Nicholas II. His rule was replaced with communism. The future was bright, so they reckoned. Meanwhile, Japan opens up as they signed the Kanagawa Treaty. They industrialized rapidly, but soon became more greedy. Now as we slide into the 20th century Europe, my dear, let us start with the alliances of countries, my dear, and the division of fears. Germany, Italy, Austria, Hungary, and later the Ottomans all formed the Triple Alliance and all became very good friends. The Triple Alliance fought in what is now called World War I, and the war to end all wars, it wasn't very fun. They fought against the Allies, also called the Triple Entente. Russia, France, and England had land Germany wanted. The end of World War I saw the Triple Alliance was the winner. With the help of USA, they ate the Central Powers dinner. As dinner.
The Treaty of Versailles ended the war. It was the Allies' hour. It turned Germany into the Weimar Republic and took away all their power. The treaty left Germany like a ticking time bomb and gave way to leaders and politics that led to a greater war to come. It's a cold world, and Weston, you are the anchor of our ship. Benito Mussolini, Hitler, Hiroto, and Stalin established fierce governments in their homeland that lead to greatest war the world has ever known. Then across the way the U.S. started isolationism. These dictators would prove to be very volatile, atrocities in human relations. The Big Purge, the Holocaust, and the rape of Nanking would shock all the world's nations. World War II was started with the invasion of Poland, the spark and straw that finally started the fire. Russia, France, and England versus the German, Japs, and Italians fought it to the death toll, grew higher and higher. Blitzkrieg warfare came across Europe, uniting it under German command. The Japanese attack caught Pearl Harbor and put a U.S. war with the Axis on high demand.
The war favored the Axis power for the first couple of years. But at Stalingrad, the Coral Sea, and Normandy, the Allies started winning and the war shifted gears. Victory in Europe came at the city of Berlin. Mussolini and Hitler were goners. But across the world into the Pacific Sea, the war with Japan went a little longer. With two great atomic bombs at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Oppenheimer and Einstein's bombs were effective in defeating Japan, and the road to rebuilding was rather rocky. This led to the creation of the United Nations to start a new world order to bring about peace and justice and a world with no hate and no borders.
You know,
fellas, get a little tired of writing these lyrics.
So sick.
Dude, I wrote so many lyrics. I'm so pissed that this is taking so long.
Yeah, God, this is awful.
This is terrible.
I mean, we're all really good looking, but
That's true.
yeah.
And stop playing bass.
Yeah, jeez.
My bad, guys.
Guys, is that a fire?
I smell smoke.
Wait,
Did you
Did-
start the fire,
did
Jack?
you-
I didn't start the
I didn't start. No, I didn't start the fire.
I didn't start the fire.
We didn't start the fire.
Harry Truman, Doris Day, Red China, Johnny Ray, South Pacific, Walter Winchell, Joe DiMaggio. Oh! Joe McCarthy, Richard Nixon, Studebaker, Television, North Korea, South Korea, Marilyn Monroe. Rosenberg's H-Bomb, Sugar Ray, Pam and John Brando, the King and I, and the Catcher in the Rye. Eisenhower vaccine, England's got a new queen, Marciana, Liberace, Santana, goodbye.
We didn't steal these lyrics. Mr. Darden's class is gonna be a blast. We didn't steal these lyrics.
We tried not to, but we did anyway.
Joseph Stalin, Malenkov, Nasser and Prokofiev, Rockefeller, Campanella, Communist Bloc. Communist Roy Kahn, Juan Perón, Toscanini, Dacron, Din Bin, Foo Falls, Rocker on the clock. Einstein, James Dean, Brooklyn's got a Winnie Ting, Davy Crockett, Peter Pan, Elvis Presley, Disneyland, Bardo, Budapest, Alabama, cruise ships, Princess Grace, Peyton Place, Trouble in the Suez.
We didn't steal these lyrics. Darden's class is gonna be a blast. We didn't steal these lyrics.
But this final project's gonna kick your ass.
Little Rock, Pasternak, Mickey Mantle, Kerouac, Sputnik, Showing Light Bridge on the River Kwai, Lebanon, Charles de Gaulle, California, baseball, stock weather, homicide, children of thalidomide, Buddy Holly, Ben Hur, Space Monkey, Mafia, Hula Hoops, Castro, Edsel is a no-go, U2, Sigmund Reed, Paola Kennedy, Chubby Checker, Psycho, better than the Congo.
We didn't steal these lyrics. Mr. Darden's class is gonna be a blast. We didn't steal these lyrics.
Oh boy, the song is almost over half blast.
Hemingway, Eichmann, Stranger in a Strange Land, Dylan, Berlin, Bay of Pigs Invasion, Lawrence of Arabia, British Beatlemania, Old Miss John Glenn, Liston beats a Patterson, Pope Paul, Malcolm X, British politicians,
Sex!
say a tank blown away. What else do I have to say?
We didn't steal these lyrics. Mr. Darden's class is gonna be a blast. We didn't steal these lyrics.
Lots of thanks to Bailey Joel.
Birth control, Ho Chi Minh, Richard Nixon, back again, moonshot, Woodstock, Watergate,
Punk rock!
Reagan, Reagan, Palestine, terror on the airline, Ayatollahs in Iran, Russians in Afghanistan, Wheel of Fortune, Sally Ride, heavy metal, suicide, foreign debts, homeless vets,
AIDS, crack, Bernie gets.
hypodermics on the shore, China's on the martial law, rock and roll, cola war,
I can't take it anymore. We didn't steal these lyrics. Mr. Darden's class is gonna be a blast. We didn't steal these lyrics.
Oh yeah, we forgot the part in history where Lotus Slide changes the world.
Forever.
It's not easy being green.